Welcome to this edition of Miles Ahead, and this time we're looking at something quite special, quite unique, and certainly very interesting, the Polestar 1. So this is the Polestar range's halo car. It's on a 3-year production run of up to 500 cars a year globally. So this is the first one I've seen on the road, and I really quite like it. I think it's a very handsome car. You can see the Volvo influences of this. Obviously, Polestar is inextricably linked to the Volvo brand. It even has a Volvo engine inside, and you can see from the lights and some of the design touches that it's definitely Volvo influence, sort of going back to the original T5 as well, and that's no bad thing because that's obviously a very good looking car. We'll start with the price though, £139,000. If you're shopping in that market, you've got a lot of choice there. This does bring a certain, it's definitely a contrarian's car if you're going at that price point, and I myself am a bit of a contrarian, and I quite like that it's different, it's unique, and you just don't see them about. Because it's built in China and it's on the global run, you can only get this in left-hand drive, so they're obviously not anticipating selling too many of them in the UK, and in fact I think the production run's coming to an end very soon, so if you do want to get one, you need to get your order in pretty soon. But what does £139,000 buy you in this instance? So this is a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. It's got 3 batteries and it's supported as well by the 2-litre twin-charged Volvo engine. The twin-charged means that it's both supercharged and turbocharged, and what that delivers in tandem with the batteries is arguably the most serene power delivery you're going to experience in a car. It's quite unlike anything else we've driven. It's certainly very unlike its combustion engine equivalents, and also very unlike EVs because you don't start to run out of power towards the top of the speed range. But anyway, as we come round, yeah, these lights are unmistakably Volvo. We've got a nice bit of carbon fibre down the bottom there. It's not really saving too much weight because this car still weighs the best part of 2.3 tonnes. The colour here is midnight. You get 5 choices of colour, and one of the only options you can get on this car is to have the paint in matte for an extra £4,500. One of the other options you can get as well is the wheels. You can get winter wheels at £5,000. This is on the standards, but you get these lovely 21-inch wheels. Again, you get 3 choices on these. These are in the gloss black, and you get the nice yellow brakes in the background there. And I'm a sucker for a bit of a gimmick. Look at that, gold dust caps. I quite like that. As you come around the side, it's got these stickers on. They've got those in the Polestar 2 as well. Polestar 1, high modulus CFRP body, optimised carbon fibre layout. I guess if you don't want that, you can peel it off. As we come around the side here, oh yeah, I'll open it up so we can get the wing mirrors to pop out. The door handles present themselves there. You get these frameless wing mirrors. If we come in and have a look at those, they're really quite nice and offer really good visibility out of the car as well. Nice design feature. And we'll just have a quick look in here. Because it is a 2+2, I've left my son's car seat in there to offer an indication of space. I mean, you're making a choice there between having a child in the back or a passenger in the front. Really, you're probably going to use the rear seats as auxiliary storage. As we'll see in a second, the boot's not the biggest. But it does have ISOFIX, so you can get 2 children in the back as well. 21-inch wheels continue at the back. Nice sloping roof line. I really like the way this car looks. I've spoken to some people who don't like the way it looks. I guess, you know, it's a game of opinions, but I think this car presents itself really well. As we come around the back, you've got the retractable spoiler, so you can operate that from inside. You can have that up or down. There's more carbon fibre as well at the back here. And we've got the quad exhausts down here as well. Given it's only got 2-litre engine, it does actually sound quite good. We'll get onto that on the drive along. It's better than you might have expected it to sound. And we'll just have a quick look in the boot as well. As I mentioned, not exactly heaps of space in here. We've got charging cables in there at the moment. I can't fit them back in the pack. They use some trickery there. And you'll notice the water dripping down here. We've just washed the car. It does actually let quite a bit of water into the cabin, which is a bit of a design flaw because that's where you keep your electrical equipment. So just something to consider when you've washed your Polestar 1. As you've probably seen before, they've got their sort of the battery cables on display there. That's another bit of a design gimmick, but I quite like it. I think it looks quite good. Adds a splash of colour, if nothing else, to the boot. But yeah, as you can see, not the biggest. Managed to get a coat, some sunglasses and some recording equipment in there. The boot does have soft close though, which is nice. And yeah, I really like these tail lights on the car as well. is very understated car though, I must say. For £139,000, if you're spending that money, some people will want people to go, oh look at me, I've spent all this money on my car. This doesn't deliver that. Not really got any looks or comments about it. I've had a couple of people ask what it is. Someone asked if a Polestar is a type of Maserati, so there's definitely an awareness issue with them there. So yeah, like I say, you can only get left-hand drive, so yeah, not seeing too many of them about at that price point, but I really like the way it looks. I quite like the understatedness of it as well, and as we'll touch on a bit more in the drive along, it's just a really interesting different car, and perhaps most importantly, it shows that you can make a good plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, because I haven't driven one before, so it's a first on that front. But anyway, let's jump inside and see what it's like inside. Before we start having a look around the inside, we're talking about what you get for £139,000. I should probably point out the key, because the key doesn't suggest that you're driving a £139,000 car. It takes understated to the next level, but anyway, it works. So what you see in here is what you get. There are no optional extras to speak of in here. You can change the colour. This is the charcoal interior. I must say it is really nice, and it's really well put together. Great quality of materials, leather throughout. You've got carbon fibre here. You've got carbon fibre in the door cards as well. It's really nicely put together. When you're driving along at motorway speeds, it's really quiet, really serene in here. It's also lovely in here at night because you've got the wraparound lighting, and it's just a really calm ambiance to the car. It's a nice place to be. So as we come in, anyway, we'll start having a look around the storage. So we start with the door bins down there. You get quite a bit of space in there. You can get a bottle and that sort of thing in there, so that's all good. Get a glove box, which is quite spacious actually. It's 2-tier as well, so you can put things in at the top. A couple of cup holders, of course, and there's essential storage space here as well, not particularly deep. 2 USB chargers there and a 12-volt battery port too. For longer journeys, you're probably going to be using the rear seats as auxiliary storage. You know, otherwise you're going to struggle to get things in and out in here. It's very nice and light and airy. As you can see, you get this beautiful panoramic roof that goes all the way across here, and that does let in quite a bit of light. Another little feature I've got, I'm not sure it'll come up in this sort of light, but there's it projects the Polestar logo into the roof line there. Just nice little touch as well. And you can see up here you also get 2 speakers from the Bowers and Wilkins system as well. I'll touch upon that now. It's quite a good system. Not the best I've heard in a car, but nor is it the worst. I mean, it's decent. It's decent, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. Another nice design feature in here is this Perspex gear changer here. You can see straight through that. I think that's really nice. A bit different. Again, another interesting feature of this car. We'll get to the infotainment system now. So this is yet straight out of the Volvo. Now, I'm not driven a Volvo, so I can't comment. I actually quite like it. I think it works very well. I could see why people might think, you know, again, 139 grand car, you're just getting something from the Volvo parts bin. It works very well. It's got nice, neat features as well. So you get the active bending lights so that they move with you when you're steering. That's really good. Park assist stuff is really good. And the autopilot functionality on this car as well is really good. You can have the pilot assist, which will control the steering for you as well, and it's got adaptive cruise control, which obviously just maintains distance from the car in front. One slight complaint using the pilot assist, it does keep you a long way left in the lane. So we're going through an average speed zone on the M1 last night, and I just flicked it on, and it was getting very close to the cars in the middle lane, so wasn't using that so much there. This car, of course, is 2.23 metres wide, so it's not, you know, and left-hand drive only, so in the UK, you know, I can see why. It's squeaky bum time a little bit when you're going through some of those narrower lanes. Yeah, driving position here is very nice. These seats are very comfortable. They're fully electrically adjustable. You get lumbar support. They're heated. You get heated steering wheel. I guess for a GT car, would be nice to have air-conditioned seats, maybe a bit of massage functionality. I am nitpicking, no, by no means a deal breaker, just a nice to have, and it would suit the sort of general style of this car as well. As we come in, we'll start it up. So you turn this knob round, that's all nicely nailed down there, so that's nice to the touch. You get the driver's mode select down here, so you press that in, it automatically starts up in hybrid, and you can flick between all-wheel drive, so I'll put it into that. that starts the engine up. You've got hybrid pure, obviously you can drive an electric range, you get up to 77 miles of electric range, and you've got power for your sporty driving. We've done 650 miles in this car, I've achieved 34.1 mpg. I think that's pretty good given the way it's been driven. I think if you drove it a little more intelligently or gave it a little more consideration than I have this week, you'd definitely get more than 34.1 mpg out of it. But I don't think that's bad for a car like this at all. It's just a nice, easy, accessible car to use. I really like it. It's got really clever touches to it as well. I like the fact that you can just switch between the driving modes like that, and you can also use the engine to charge the battery. If you want to stop using the battery, there's a hold function up here so that it will just run off your petrol engine. It's good. I mean, you don't see these features every day in other cars. I think it's pretty well thought out in here. It's really well put together as well. It's a nice place to be, I guess, is what I'm getting at. We've done 650 miles. I've been very comfortable for all 650 of them. But on that, we should probably find out what it's like to drive. Before we set off, we'll just have a quick look at your view from the driver's seat. You can't see it in the camera because you have to be flush on it, but you do get a head-up display, which is very useful. I quite like head-up display. I don't understand why more cars don't have them. These dials, I'd imagine they're the sort of thing that might date quite quickly in here, but it's a nice view. The rev counter sort of runs around the outside there. It doesn't tell you exactly how many RPM you're doing or anything like that. It's got traffic sign recognition, and you get the red line there to pick that out, and you can cycle through different options. So you've got the pilot assist down there, and then that'll change to adaptive cruise control, and you've got speed limiter and all that sort of stuff. And you've got dials down here, so you've got petrol range there, and you've got battery range there as well. So that's all very good. Nice clean driving position, clean dials, very easily accessible information. Very easy to use. But let's get it moving. So what's the Polestar 1 like to drive? Well, as ever, we'll start with the engine note. Not too intrusive, but you get a nice burble going on there. So what do you get under the hood there? So it is a 2-litre Volvo engine. It's twin charged, which means it is both supercharged and turbocharged, and that engine drives the front wheels and produces 305 brake horsepower. Battery 1 also supports power delivery to the front wheels by chipping in with an extra 67 brake horsepower. Then there are 2 more batteries that power the rear wheels, and they kick out 229 brake horsepower. Now all that should add up to roughly 609 brake horsepower, and you also get 1000 newton meters of torque. So it's not slow, this car. 0 to 60 is ticked off in 4.2 seconds. Now what's really nice about this car is because you've got a supercharged and turbocharged engine, and you've got the 3 batteries, you get such a wonderfully smooth and consistent power delivery at any speed. So if you're driving EVs only, you get an instant hit off the line, and then they begin to run out of puff as you get to higher speeds. And with combustion engines, you tend to get just a fraction of time at the beginning while it all hooks up. So that's why the EVs, you get the mental 0 to 60 times, but you know, they'll get outstripped once you get sort of past real world speed to like 50, 60 miles an hour. You'd be better off having a V8 or something like that. What this car does, because it's all really well put together and they've really thought about the power delivery in this, you just get a nice consistent delivery. So whether you're going from standstill and you get decent performance, or whether you are on the motorway and you need to start making progress, this Polestar 1 delivers. So, you know, on the motorway you get slowed down to sort of speeds of 50, 60 miles an hour, then you need to sort of quickly get past, you can. If you need to pull away from the lights quickly, you can, and anything in between. It's really good. And even on battery power alone, this car isn't slow. There's been a couple of times I've had it in hybrid, you think, oh yeah, we're really taking off here, this is good. And then you realise, oh, I'm just running off the battery here. We've also got the petrol engine to go as well. So I've got it in, I had it in power mode for that bit at the beginning. If I put it into pure electric, the change is almost imperceptible. You don't really notice the change from engine to petrol and vice versa. And that's actually really nice, because one of my gripes with the plug-in hybrid electric vehicles that we've driven so far is that the power delivery is really confused in them. It's sort of, you'll start with the battery and they'll go, oh, we need to get the engine involved, and it just makes an almighty roar, clatters up to 2000 RPM, and they don't really know what they're doing, and it all just feels a little bit confused. This car does not. This shows the way, shows what can be done with plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. And I'll go as far to say it's so good that it's a shame that Polestar aren't going to make any more plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, because the rest of the range is going to be EV only. So obviously the Polestar 2, which we reviewed on the channel last year, I'll put a link to that in the description of this video if you want to check that out. That's obviously designed to rival the Tesla Model 3. And when they get on to doing the Polestars 3, 4 and 5, they're going to be EV only as well. So this is going to be the only time they tap up Volvo for one of their combustion engines. But as you know, as you can feel there or hear there roughly, you know, the power delivery really good, but the engine not too obtrusive, but also not too blunt sounding. One word that I keep coming back to with this car is interesting. This is a really interesting car, and that sounds like I'm damning it with faint praise. I'm not. I've never driven anything like this, and I'm not sure I ever will drive anything like this again. I've driven other sort of mild hybrids that you don't have to plug in, and they've been quite good. Lexus RX is a good example of that, and you get similar systems. You go into the supercar territory, like the McLaren P1 uses hybridisation to support the loopy power you get in that. But this being the plug-in, you get up to 77 miles of electric range, and I think you can do up to 80 miles an hour just on electric range, and then you know you can flick into the engine as well. So one of the potential drawbacks I was thinking about at the start of this is if you're driving around in your £140,000 GT car, the battery runs out, then you're just stuck with a 2-litre Volvo engine. It doesn't sound that inspiring, does it, at that price point? And you know, that's fair enough. But what you can do, because they've thought about all this sort of stuff, is you can charge the battery using the engine. Now obviously there's a moral question over whether that's a good use of resources, because you're using your petrol and your fuel consumption to power your battery. Arguably, yeah, not the most efficient use of fuel and energy and all that sort of stuff, but you know, you can do that, so then you can crack on again at full tilt. And also, if you're running low on petrol, which is what happened to me last night, it just flicked to electric only, so actually it covers all bases pretty well. And because the power delivery is so good in all modes, it's just, yeah, it is really good. Really interesting car, fascinating car. I've never driven anything like this, probably never will again, and I've really loved having it. I've been really looking forward to this review. Got a couple of false starts with it. I was supposed to have it at the tail end of 2021. The person before me had a bit of an accident in it, so it had to be repaired. So January 2022, here we are in it, and it's been great. As mentioned, we've done the 650 miles and I've really enjoyed it. So I was thinking about other GT cars. So we've been lucky enough to review a few others on the channel. The Lexus LC500, really enjoyed that. Great naturally aspirated V8 engine in that, 50 grand cheaper than this. Bentley Continental GT, now we didn't do the video of that, so it's not on the channel, but I do my written articles on the londoneconomic.com if you want to read rather than watch the review. Check them out on there. That was the W12 version, so it's a bit more expensive, but you know, when you get down to the V8 version, that sort of thing, it's coming into this sort of price range, although once you start ticking the options boxes with Bentley, the price is going to get out of hand pretty quickly. I also had the Aston Martin DBS, again that kicks on, but that's a step on from the DB11. In terms of like interior and driving experience, going to be pretty similar. Now, if you were asking me to pick a best, it's very difficult, because this car just stands out in its own way. It's just, that word again, interesting, is what this car is. It's definitely one for the contrarians. If you don't want to be driving around, you don't want to be seen in a Bentley or a DB11 or a Lexus LC500 is probably quite rare. You don't see too many of them knocking about. But this is the only one of these I've seen on the road, and I'm driving it. You just don't see them about, because there's going to be a maximum of 1,500 of these cars made globally, and it's left-hand drive only. You're not going to see too many of them in the UK, so definitely one for the contrarians. But you know, if you want something that says I've spent 140 grand on a car, yeah, a Bentley or an Aston Martin does that a lot better than a Polestar one ever will. But if you like the understated elegance and you like the uniqueness of this car, then it's definitely going to appeal to your contrarians. And I am, being honest, a bit of a contrarian, and I like it. I like driving along going, this is the only one I've seen and I'm driving it. I felt quite privileged to be doing that. Just going along that bit of road actually just reminded me of one more thing. The ride in this car is quite firm. It does have adjustable Öhlins dampers, but you have to get the spanners out. You need to jack it up at the rear and change it all. I don't know what setting it's on. I am no mechanic, and they didn't tell me when they delivered it what it's set to. I would assume it's just naturally reset to medium when I get it back in the press garage. It is on the firm side, but it always feels planted and connected with the road, this car. Really good for the motorway cruise. It is a really good GT car, really nice place to spend loads of time, really comfortable, and because of the power delivery and everything else, it's a really nice, predictable car to use in that environment, which is good. Chuck it along a B road, it does start to feel its weight, particularly under heavy braking. You can really start to feel it start to wobble a little bit. You get body roll when you chuck it into corners and all that, but there's plenty of traction to work with. I haven't found any understeer in it actually, which has been a bit of a surprise. It's 6 degrees today, you know, the weather's not been great, it's been cold, roads are a little bit greasy. I've had no problems with the traction in this car at all. It's been planted, feels well connected the whole time. Steering's not the last word in feedback, but it's not designed to be. Brakes do a really good job of bringing the car under control as well, and it handles reasonably well, but it's definitely at its best. You could use this for doing your long journeys. It's definitely where this is going to be at its most comfortable. So sorry, I veered away from making a comparison with the other cars. I would say this just stands out in its own way. I've never driven anything like this, and I doubt I will ever drive anything like this again. I think the hybrids systems, the shelf life of those are going to be so short, because people are either going to want to stick with the petrol until the very last moment, or they're going to switch to EVs now. Because the problem is a lot of the plug-in hybrid electric vehicles we've driven are a worst of both scenario, whereas this is definitely a best of both scenario. Really well constructed, just an intelligent car, and I'll say it again, an interesting car. Found it fascinating. I've really enjoyed driving it. I feel very lucky to have had the opportunity to drive it as well, because yeah, they're rare as hen's teeth, these cars. They're not making many of them. That's your point of difference with the competition. Is it worth 140 grand? Debatable, but you are getting something that you're not going to get anywhere else for that, and that alone probably does lean towards justifying the cost. I can absolutely see why people will have put an order in on these. I think it looks great, driving experience is brilliant. Yeah, it's a really well thought out car, and if this is a signpost for what Polestar are going to be kicking out in the future, it's all good. Can't wait to see what else is coming out of there. You've probably guessed by now, I have really liked this car. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a like. Please also consider subscribing. We've got loads of videos on the channel. We've got loads more coming up as well. Up next, all electric Tesla Model 3 Performance, and then after that we're hoping to review Lamborghini Urus, the Ferrari Portofino M, Caterham 170, new lightweight model they've got out, and the Audi RS4 and SQ7, and we're also speaking to other manufacturers about a few other cars. So we've got, yeah, there'll be plenty more coming up on the channel as well. So if you've liked what you've seen here, which hopefully you have, please hit that subscribe button, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Thanks.